Hello, people of YouTube. It's Deepak here, and welcome to DCS, the DCS news stream for the 27th of November, the Apache delay and MPD page. I hope you all enjoyed the JF-17 video there, the most recent one in the series. That was all about the GPS guided munitions that we have in the JF-17, so the LS6 JDAM equivalent and the GS6 JSOW equivalent. Next week we're going to dive into data link in the JF-17 and some other avionics functionalities, so that should be a good laugh. Welcome Fair, welcome Mark S, and welcome Michael Bohr. Hi from a windy Berkshire. Yes, I believe you're experiencing some wind. Sorry to hear about that. I hope you're all enjoying the series on the JF-17. It's probably starting to come to an end now, so we'll need to think a little bit about what I should do next. What should be the next tutorial series? But anyway, I just lurk until you can say I'm last. Oh, Storm Kimbari, it's going to take a while before you can say you're last. So, without any further ado, as always, let's welcome the one, the only, the dotChuckles. Hello.
Good evening. Another Saturday, another DCS news.
Woo!
It's a very, we're busy cleaning up crisp packets and fallen trees and trampolines that have blown in. It's been a bit stormy in the last couple of days.
There's been none of that here in Sweden.
It's been mental. It's been mental. I unfortunately I had to go out last night, and not at the peak of the storm, but just starting to calm down. And on the roads that I drive, every signpost, like, you know, the large sort of motorway sized signposts, every single signpost was basically bent like a banana.
Oh dear, that sounds pretty powerful.
It was immense, and lots of trees were down, and people were without power, and unfortunately, sadly, I think a couple of people were killed. It has been quite a severe storm. So, yeah, but there we go.
Tog says tornado. Very, you know, I think he means the aircraft, but
aircraft. Yeah, not the Storm Arwen who just came in and trashed everything and then left.
Yes,
I knew a real Arwen like that.
Hello, Lindsay Morrison. Welcome to the stream. Channel Right, thank you very much. Glad you enjoyed the tutorial. Very kind of you, sir. Dan Flute, hello, evening all. Should have started the storm quiet. What? That doesn't make any sense. Should have shouted the storm quiet. Ah, okay, I misread.
Right. Yeah. No, I was hiding in my attic, hoping the roof wasn't about to blow off. So,
dearie me. Well, without any further ado, let's dive straight into the DCS news. We've got
quite a bit, so let's get on.
Yes, there is stuff, and we start the newsletter with something that we had probably already told the world, and that is the Apache is not coming this year. Well, actually, I was still being very hopeful, but accepted that it was unlikely.
Yeah, we just before we came on out, we were trying to figure out how long back it was since we called this, and I think it's nearly 2 months. Like it's been a long time, and it was the pace of videos. That's what did it for me. That was the warning sign for me. I'm not sure what it was for you, but yeah, for me, and I think you know your comment summed it up that you made before on air, which you can tell people. On you go.
I just realized that I'm showing my I just realized that I'm showing my Gmail accidentally. I don't normally do that.
Whoops.
Oh dear, silly me. Right, let me figure out how I'm going to resolve this situation. There we go. I'm going to have to go straight to the notes that we have. I'm normally more organized than this. Here we go. I normally use the web version of the newsletter, not my Gmail. People are now commenting on how many unread emails I've got because it's a lot.
I should see mine.
Oh no.
Anyway, what we were saying, yeah, for me it was the sort of pace of videos or lack of videos, but it was your comment when you saw this week's video that.
Yeah, I know. I'm really glad. I'm really happy that he released this video this week, and we get to see some of that detail. But I have to say, when I was watching it for the first time, I made some sarcastic comments. It's like, oh, if he's showing us this, it's clearly not ready.
Yeah. No, like I said, we called this weeks ago, and I think I don't know, it was Frantic who said it, that, you know, if it doesn't show up, if it doesn't drop in like the first week of December, it's not coming out this year. So yeah, the writing was on the wall. And that said, sorry, Karen, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say that, you know, in the newsletter they call out progress with the George AI. And the flight control system components. So, you know, these are the two bits that they felt had not reached the required level for early access.
Yeah. What I was going to say was, it's annoying. Yes, it's a bit disappointing. I would have loved to have spent the Christmas holidays flying the Apache, but the spectre of the F-16 launch.
Yes,
it's rattling the chains in the basement at ED Towers, and there was no way this was going to come out in a state that wasn't like acceptable.
Yeah, and actually, I think this is a good thing. You know, there are probably going to be a lot of people who are going to jump on this and go, "Oh my god," you know, and just do the usual, because we're all very entitled. Us flight sim people, we're very entitled. But I look at this and I'm like, well done, Edie. Well done. This was a tough call, and I think you made the right one. And I would rather see, even in early access, I would rather see it in a better state before it's released. So. Yeah, I think this is good. Actually, I think this is very good.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're the kind of person that is going to now jump on the forum and go, "You promised us blah 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 blah," A, you're a fud. B, you need to grow up and evaluate your priorities.
Yes,
you know, it's just like, come on, it's not ready. You know, what's the worst that's going to happen?
And actually, what they've pushed it to, you know, they're talking about end of January 2022. Now, that actually surprised me a little bit, because that doesn't seem long enough. Like, if you're going to push it 3 months would be my kind of rule of thumb. I feel like January is they're still really going at it if they're going to get it ready for end of January.
Yeah. It does, you're right. Because, maybe it's only just a little bit wrong. You know, not quite good enough, and they need just a little bit more time in the oven to get it out. But yeah, I would have thought if there was going to be a delay, it was like, well, look, delay it proper and make sure that we're not sitting here in January going, we're still not seeing a startup video. I don't think we're going to see it this month, you know? So, yeah. Well, who knows? You know, we'll see what happens. That said, I know I just painted with a very broad brush the ED community. That said, I haven't seen much hate about this.
Neither have I, in fairness. I'm probably just projecting my own expectation here.
Yeah, and I think pre F-16, we would have seen, like, you know, it would have been like opening the Ark of the Covenant and Wags' face would melt. You know, I think people have learned, it's like, this is how, do you want ants? This is how you get ants, with everybody going, just release it. Okay, we'll release it. Oh, that's not what I wanted. And it's like, I think maybe as a community there might be a bit of a lesson learned here.
Some maturity has been achieved. Mark S says that he is personally offended by your comments, dotChuckles.
Fantastic! I've done my job then.
I think with his tongue firmly in his cheek.
Yes,
to be fair.
I reckon so.
Oh dear.
But yeah, I think the community might have learned the lesson, because the F16 release was, I mean,
Didn't even have working lights, man.
It was a textbook in how not to release something.
Yeah.
And how bowing to entitled users is like the worst thing you can do as a software development company.
Yes.
Because you do that, and what you get is the F16 release. So, like, I totally think this is a good decision. And yeah, I've not seen a massive amount of hate on it, and I think anybody that is currently hating on ED, like I say, I shall call you a FUD, sir, and you need to reevaluate your priorities.
Yes. Oh, and but by the way, just on a slightly different topic, Tog is calling out just now, because before I pulled you in for the DCS news, I was asking, what do people want as the next tutorial series from Deepak? Because the JF17 is coming to an end. And he's calling for Hind. Now the problem is I actually have very little time in the Hind, so I'm probably not your guy for that one. In fact, I can think of a few people who would do a much better job of it than me.
Yeah, I can think of a couple of people who would do some very good Hind tutorials. A tutorial series on the Hind would be very good, actually, because they're a bit thin on the ground in terms of good, tutorials. There are good individual tutorials on the Hind, but the thing that is good about your tutorials is an in-depth study across the whole, the whole system, the whole set of systems, rather than just we're going to look at this little bit and this little bit and this little bit. And there are some good versions of of Hind tutorials that do that. So yeah, maybe a Hind series.
And
I'm just saying, chat. Yes, none that sound like Scott Manley. He doesn't sound like Scott Manley.
Hello, I'm Scott Manley.
Scott Manley doesn't even sound like that. I
know. The thing is, Scott Manley is from the West Coast. I'm from the East Coast. I have a different accent.
It's like saying all Americans sound like John Wayne.
Well,
what, he sounds like Scott Manley because he's Scottish. Jeez.
Fly safe. I wish I was Scott Manley. Sadly, I'm not.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy. Although, I love his content at the moment. Like, he's doing a lot. He's doing really good science content, and he does great approachable science content, but I do kind of miss his gaming stuff, and he's not really doing much of that. So
his series on Kerbal, of course, was amazing.
Yeah, sidetracked. Where were we? Back to the news.
back to the news. Eagle further say that as a token of our appreciation for your pre-orders, we're increasing your pre-order ed miles up to 8,500.
Whatever they are.
Yeah. They're actually, I have no idea what each ED mile equates to. That said, when I apply them to my purchases on the ED store, I'm always very, very happy by how much it reduces the price. So, they're very, very welcome. I just have no understanding of what they mean.
How do they work? What are these even?
Well, yeah.
It gives me cheap stuff. All right, okay.
Exactly. They make my bill smaller, so I'm perfectly happy with them. I think they're very, very good. Oh dear. So yes, they want to share progress on the flight model. So they say they've achieved a good simulation of the power plant and the flight dynamics. The machine is totally sensational. Also, please note that the Steam Autumn Sale 2021 has begun and will continue until the 1st of December. Come and enjoy 50% off, up to 50% off most of our products. So there you go.
Go do that. Go do that.
And then further on the newsletter, we have a development report. They're talking a lot about the power plant. Actually, this sounds pretty good. They're talking about quite a lot of detail they've put into this. I'm assuming this is the same kind of detail that they previously put into the K50. But they talk about a lot of interesting stuff. And further down in the report, they mention the fact that they're within like a few % of the book numbers. Under a whole variety of conditions. So they're clearly doing good work here. So yeah, they talk a bunch about this. Probably nothing that I'll repeat just now because it's all very technical and you can all read it yourselves. Here they talk. So within the normal regime, they have an accuracy of 2 to 3%, and they're within 4 to 5% of emergency procedures. So not too bad, I would say.
Oh, that's really good. Like when because like a lot of sims, and I'm going to sort of refer to things like Microsoft Flight Simulator and stuff like that. Microsoft Flight Simulator in normal flight regimes does a really good job.
Yes,
very accurate on the numbers. You can fly, you can fly their aircraft. If you're into civil flying, you can fly their aircraft to the numbers, and it's great, feels right. But the second you step outside of normal operation and you get into like flight, you get into in-flight upset or like out of limits conditions, it kind of falls apart, and it falls apart quick and hard. So to be 4% in extreme regime, that's actually very good.
Yeah, I'm rather impressed. And yeah, actually, to kind of mirror what you said there, Microsoft Flight Simulator, I've flown the DA-40 a bit in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I have a lot of hours in that aircraft in the real world. And I think they've done a bloody good job. Their systems modeling is a bit pish. Like the way you interact with the way you interact with the aircraft is kind of wrong in lots of ways, but the way it flies is spot on. It's very, very good.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not wanting to get off track too much, but I mean, that's very much like how Microsoft Flight Sim works, in that they provide a really, really good engine, and then it's really there for the modders to kind of come and get that detail. I mean, like the CRJ is spectacular, like and the Pipers as well that Just Flight put out. I mean, Just Flight used to make trash. They now make some of the best stuff ever. So yeah, I mean, that's really for the modders. But you're totally right. I mean, the way it flies within normal regime is really good. So that's why I'm just so doubly impressed by ED coming out with these figures saying they're within 4 or 5%, which, let's face it, anybody who hasn't flown an emergency procedure for real in Apache ain't going to notice the difference.
No, definitely not. Tog asks, how are you all not sponsored by ED yet?
That's a damn good question, isn't
it? They like Grim Reapers more than they like us.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's okay.
That's fine.
Sheds tear.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So
we're not allowed to mention them, Musk.
No. That's as much as I'm saying.
Yeah, that's as much as we're saying. Yeah.
They go on to mention the engine, flight, and fuel pages, which our man Dandy Wagner has posted a video about. So let's go. Woo. Let's jump straight into that after. Oh wow, that's really upsetting that both of us did it. Anyway, so notice here.
We're never fucking forgetting that.
Yes. Notice in this video that we have we've got 2 different types of technicals in the background. Now, I don't think they were in the game before.
No, they're not. That's totally new. I have never seen them. That's totally new.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little Easter egg. But it makes perfect sense because the Apache has, predominantly been fighting insurgency for the last 20 years. So it makes sense that we're going to see vehicles like that, and it's wonderful that it's coming, and it's going to fit perfectly on things like the Syria map. So, oh god, only us could look at a video about the Apache and get excited about a Hilux with a machine gun on the back.
Yeah, I don't know why Toyota don't use these images in their adverts. Oh dear. But it's very cool to see that. I'm very, very happy about that. And the thing is, it was like the 3rd time I watched the video before I even noticed. And then all of a sudden I was like, ooh, wait a minute. Look, technicals. So yeah, this is, it's really cool to see this detail. And we also, I remember in one of our previous videos, we were talking about, some of the screens are color and some of them are mono. Mm-hmm. And then we realized that no, actually there's a rotary where you can switch it. And he demonstrates actually doing that. So at least in the pilot's cockpit, you have modes for day, night, and mono mode takes the color out.
Yeah, yeah. There was a lot of stuff in this video that I didn't know existed. And it's like little things like, in fact, I think he's demonstrating it there in the video, the cursor. Like, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, me
but
neither.
it makes perfect sense. Yeah, it makes perfect sense because flying a jet, you can take your left hand off the throttle and, all right, okay, cool. You get away with that for a bit. You can fiddle in the cockpit.
Yeah.
But flying a helicopter, you got to really be hands on the controls. If you're in a low level environment, you're going to have your hand on the collective. So having something like that makes perfect sense. And I didn't know it existed, but now that I know it exists, it's like, oh, of course, yeah, it makes sense. Great in-depth systems stuff going on here. Whilst it might be a snore for a lot of people, this is absolutely my cup of tea.
That's the thing is, I love avionics, and normally I would be all over this video and I would be studying it. But the thing that makes me not that excited about it is the fact that I'm nowhere near getting my hands on this. It's like, if I can already get my hands on it or they're about to release it, then I want to see this. But because I know it's much later, then I'm kind of like, well, whatever, I'll figure this out before I get there.
Yeah, and this was clearly, I think in the production stand-up, when they were deciding, what we're going to release this week, this was them scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of what can we show? What have we got that's done? All right, okay, this. No sexy weapon systems, no startup stuff, nothing that's gonna sort of get people hyped. It's like, okay, here's some in-depth system that only rivet counters like myself are gonna get a hard on over.
Yeah.
So
Still good to see, though. Still very good to see.
Yes,
And
totally,
there's a bunch of detail in here. So I'm very happy they put this together. It was also quite nice to see the keyboard unit in operation, because later in the video he does actually punch in some values.
Yes, absolutely. Data going into the keyboard unit and stuff like that. I kind of want to build one now. I mean, I sort of have. I showed this off a few weeks back. My little mini keyboard that I have next to my throttle for when I'm playing in VR.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I could kind of. It's kind of like the keyboard. Yeah, maybe. I'm gonna do something with that.
he mentions later in the video something interesting that I didn't know, is that the keyboard unit has a calculator built in.
That's yes, I did pick up on that, and that's kind of cool and useful because I mean, pilot maths, man.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff you have to divide by 3.
That's the thing, and the reality is that we don't do it most of the time. Like, all your calculations, well, speaking as a private pilot, all your calculations are done on the ground, and then everything you do in the air is rule of thumb or like a simple kind of calculation. You don't actually do math in your head while you're flying a plane, because you're kind of already task saturated at that point.
Yeah, it's all rule of thumb and lots of stuff around the 3 times table.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the idea that it has this built-in calculator is actually really cool.
Yeah.
I want to see that in action.
And again, like when you look at the placement of that keyboard unit, it's so ergonomic. It's just like a little hop away from the collective, so you can get back onto it like really, really quickly. Yeah, like you can see the common sense stuff that was going on here.
The kind of human machine interface for the Apache is pretty good. I think, having no real world experience, obviously, but just looking at these videos and looking at the pictures and so on, I'm impressed with the design of this. It's pretty good. I think it got better with the Delta. I think it got better with the Delta model. The Alpha model was, you look at the cockpit, the Alpha model, and it's a little bit scary. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of small idiot lights and things like that you probably wouldn't notice. But when they went to the Delta variant, that improved a lot. But then again, Alpha, that was designed in the 70s. Then, Delta was designed late 80s, early 90s. So, you can clearly see the evolution in ergonomics and HMI going on. So, and I wonder, what are we seeing in the Echo model? How much has that been updated? Because I don't know anything about the Echo.
I could be wrong. My standard disclaimer, I frequently am. I think the Echo model is about sensors and sensor fusion. Like, I think that's the majority of the stuff about the Echo, I think, in terms of how much it's been redesigned. Because I know, for example, the Delta version doesn't have... it just has FLIR on its PNVS, whereas the Echo version has a melded night vision and FLIR. So you can you get like...
best of both.
Yeah. It can sort of the sensor fusion. That's it. So I think the Echo like is around that, and its ability to interact with smart battlefield stuff. So, but I think in terms of the actual cockpit, I don't think it's much different.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, cool video. It's maybe slightly boring if you're not really into avionics, but it's still really, really good to see, and good to see that they're maintaining a kind of a schedule of releasing these videos. That's really nice. So
yeah, because we had a couple of F-16 videos, last week. Yeah, so I think they had to go back to the Apache or there'd be a riot. But yeah,
we want to see Apache stuff.
Yeah, but you're right. When this video came out, it was like, yeah, we're not seeing the Apache this year.
Yeah.
If it had been a startup video,
then there was a chance.
Would be like, okay, right. I think we're on it. It's happening. But no, this was just like, yeah, we're not seeing this year.
Yep. So anyway, as always, check out Matt Wagner's channel. Have a watch of this video yourselves. It's good stuff. Welcome to the stream, Relfitch. The next video is all about tire pressure. Yes, Mark S. I hope you're wrong.
Yeah, that's like the pattern for the next 6 months.
Yes.
This week we've got a video on oil changes and the cleaning of the oil filter, which we've simulated.
Yes, pretty much. Evening, Stiglitz. And thank you very much for your very, very kind comment on my JF-17 video. Thank you very much, sir. Moving on to the next thing, we have Eagle Dynamics briefly details the future of DCS FA-18C Hornet plans. This was an article that Stormbirds had up. I thought it was quite a good one to mention because they talk a little bit here about the things that are still to be done. And of course, we all know that the main thing that's last to do for the FA-18C is the ACLS, which is apparently being worked on now. Most recently, we of course received the approach mode for the auto throttle. So there's a lot of progress being made there. But apparently Eagle Dynamics also put out a little update talking about the other bits and bobs they want to fiddle with, which may or may not be post early access. I think basically once we have ACLS, they consider it out of our early access. But yeah, they're talking here about MSI tuning and some functions, radar tuning, flight model and FCS tuning, AT FLIR tuning including offset logic, much like the F-16 already has, harm tuning, flight director mode, which is very, very interesting. I guess that's where you can set up the autopilot and it just gives you needles to fly. Static MUMI page, GBU24 autopilot, and then the very last one that they mentioned, this is the one that gets me interesting, the TALD. Am I right in thinking this is the towed decoy?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, because it's not tiled, which is the UK laser guided system, so it must be the decoy. Must be the decoy. I
think it's the decoy. This is interesting because I've never seen the towed decoys that the US use included in any flight sim. And
probably because it's super fucking classified.
Well, that's it. I honestly don't know, and I also don't really know very much about them. But they've also committed to bringing the F-16's towed decoy as well.
Yeah.
And I think I may be wrong, so take this one with a grain of salt, but I think at some point RASBAM are looking to model the jettisonable mini jammers that the Harrier can carry. Because you can you can fill the pods in the Harrier with chaff, flares, or little battery-powered ECM things that fly out. So how effective those are, I don't know, but it's an interesting thing that the Harrier has. So
swamp the spectrum with enough noise. I mean, yeah,
exactly. Tog, you did tutorials on the 18, haven't you, Deep? No, I have not. No tutorials on the F18 as yet. I didn't want to approach it until it was more complete. Of course, now it is pretty much complete. And the F16, I did under protest because all of you voted for me to do it as a tutorial series. And I was like, I don't want it because it's not finished and I'll need to redo it all. But
well, I think we might have answered the question earlier about what your next series should be.
The F18.
Do the F18.
F18 is probably the sensible choice. Yeah. And there's a lot to approach on the F18. I could do that for a while.
Yeah.
So, so this was just a short article from Stormbirds. I thought it was nice, a nice little opportunity to revisit where we are with the F18, which is pretty close to the end, really. So there was that. The other one, this is one that's generated some interest on the Facebooks. Razbam originally pasted. Why am I saying pasted tonight? Posted. They originally posted this on Facebook. Of course, we all hate it when people post things on Facebook, so they then tweeted it as well. We've got the F-15E Strike Eagle. Amazing job done by Metal to Mesh for Razbam simulations.
He didn't even model it.
Yeah, Razbam didn't model it.
Jesus Christ.
But they paid somebody. Actually, they've had a relationship with Metal to Mesh for a long time.
True. It's just like, talk about hype over nothing. I mean...
Well, this is the thing, right? When they posted this on Facebook kind of erupted. I think there were, if I recall correctly, a few thousand comments. And a bunch of them were like, come back to us once you've actually modelled some systems. We've only ever seen 3D models and pictures.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit unfair, but also...
kind of also true.
Because they originally mentioned the F-15 in 2019, if I recall correctly. And we have not seen anything other than just the occasional screenshot of a model since then. I don't know how much work they've done on the avionics or the systems, but yeah.
Oh, Razbam, God love you. So how do you unpack this? Razbam, I would not be getting excited for the Mudhen until probably about 2026.
Ouch.
Then you can for Razbam, they've become a meme. Yes, they really have. Because it's godlike. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I think Razbam make good products. Eventually.
I'm not going to say too much on this because I'm a big Razbam fanboy, and I'm always going on about them. Yeah.
And justified, and rightly justified. When they finish a product, it's a good product. But oh boy, is it a journey! Like, let's look at their track record. The Mirage now is formidable. It's a fantastic module, well deserving its position alongside the other modules in DCS. The Harrier, likewise, now is getting to that point where this is a fantastic module and it takes its position amongst the staple modules. But let's look at the journey that we had to go through to get there. And it took, I mean, God, the Mirage has taken years, and the Harrier as well. It was broken for so long. Yeah. And then eventually, they got their stuff together and it's now a good module. So what we're seeing here is Razbam showing off a subcontractor's work in order to increase the hype.
Yes. Because
there is nothing of this aircraft other than a 3D studio model. That's it. That's all there is. They're really busy on the Mirage. They're really busy on the Harrier. They're really, I hope, busy on the Falklands map. Like, Like, yeah, this isn't, the Mud Hen is not happening for a really, really long time. There is nothing to get excited about here. They're hyping nothing. We will get excited for it in some time, and when it releases completely broken and unusable, we'll bury our heads in our hands and go, oh, Razbam, and then they'll fix it, and everybody will be happy.
Yes,
that is how I foresee the Mud Hen going. But only if you've got a friend that you play multiplayer with, because there's no AI and the Mud Hen is nigh on useless without somebody in the back seat. So
this was the other thing. So let me recount the Facebook chatter. So of course, the first bit of the Facebook chatter was pretty much as summarized by dotChuckles there. And then the second thing was people dived straight into the AI. And two groups appeared, as is often the case. And one very vocal group was saying, but you can do everything you need to do from the front seat, which is technically correct.
Yes, but only technically.
Only technically correct. People always hit this. They're like, oh, it doesn't matter. We don't need an AI. Just fly it on your own.
This isn't I Have Never. Technicalities don't fucking count.
Exactly. So, yes, of course, the pilot also has multi-purpose displays. He can display all the same kinds of stuff, but the workflow is far more refined in the back seat for weapons delivery. The guy in the back seat has got 4 multifunction displays. I forget how many. I guess the pilot has 2. I don't even know, actually. Maybe the pilot has 3. I can't remember. But you're not going to get that same workflow in the front cockpit, especially while you have to fly the damn thing at the same time.
And the pilot can only get access to top level systems from the rear seat. Like, he can't dive in, and you can't be combat effective as a single pilot in the Mud Hen. You can't.
If you could, the Air Force wouldn't put a second seat in it. Like, the military are not in the habit of adding crew members for fun. They do it because there's a reason.
Yeah. Training a Rio is really, really, really expensive. So, if the pilot can do everything, it's like, well, why would they spend literally millions of dollars training a Rio to go into the back seat? Stop talking shit.
So, the thing is, of course, perhaps in the world of flight simulation, and perhaps especially in single player, you might get away with doing it on certain missions. These people have a point, but they're wrong.
I would like to agree with them, but then we'd both be wrong.
Exactly. And even actually, Stormbirds themselves, they've got a little section to this where they say the when question. And his response is, in this case, I think it's wise to wait this one out for a while yet. Which I think is a very diplomatic way of putting it.
Don't get me wrong, I have full confidence that Razbam will deliver this at some point.
Yes. And I'm psyched for it. I will be buying this.
Yeah, totally. It's. I wasn't so excited about it, and then you pointed out it's like, dude, it's the American tornado, and then suddenly I was, oh, actually, you have a point.
Yes. This is when countries fuck around, the Eagle delivers the find out.
But this post, I mean, they're hype, they're trying to get people onto the hype train about it. But do you know what, the hype train has not even pulled into the station. You cannot get a ticket for the hype train. The hype train hasn't even been built.
Yes.
In terms of the hype train, we're somewhere around about the invention of the wheel. Like this, it's just, don't get hyped for this. Don't fall for the Twitter nonsense. There's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Go enjoy something else, and in about 5 years' time, we can get excited.
Let's see the video one more time though, because it does look nice.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm psyched, but this is not coming anytime soon. Yeah, actually, I'm right. It's 4 multifunction displays in the back, 3 in the front. And of course, the front is very much designed around being able to fly the plane. Although, of course, with this being a US Air Force aircraft, the back seater does have a full set of flight controls. So you can fly it from the back. And in fact, I think instructors and so on, they are trained to fly it from the back.
Yeah.
Cool. Moving on.
Yes.
Again, Twitter. This seems to be a thing that's happening now, is people are posting on Twitter. Previously, it was horrible Facebook, and now we've got this. So, Eagle Dynamics posted this, and at first, I thought it was real-world time-lapse. I'm sorry, I'm just going to... It does look good. It does look good. I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to say that I was fooled by this, and I thought it was real. It's not real. Yeah. This is DCS. And this is them showing off dynamic weather with the new cloud system. Because when Eagle brought in the new cloud system, it looked fantastic, and we were all very, very happy because the old clouds were poo. But the problem was that in their first iteration of fancy new clouds, they were absolutely static and didn't do anything. This, though, just look at this. This is nice. This is nice. This I think somebody commented further down. This deserves a David Attenborough narration. This actually looks really good. Well,
in the wilds of Georgia, we can see the weather is changing.
That's it. That's exactly it. Yeah. I wish I could do it.
Emerging from its hide, you see the Harrier. Reef, scanned and scared, he's running from the Vipers.
Yeah, that is absolutely what happens. Yeah.
So, what I want to know is there's a nice thing going on here, and I don't know if it's just accidental, but as the cloud comes up towards that hill, you sort of see it kind of roll back. Now, is that because it's being punched through by an updraft from the hill, or is that just how the animation worked? Because if there's now interaction with the air mass and the ground, that's a big deal.
They have given no detail on this whatsoever. But I see what you're talking about. Yeah. Let me just see that again. Okay.
I suspect that it's just the way the animation has worked out. Like, I'm not sure.
It doesn't allow collisions with terrain. It will always bump over.
Yeah.
It looks bloody good.
It does. And I mean, my question is well, how is this going to look in VR? Because the clouds are still not right in VR, and it's down to the resolution of the map that they used for the clouds. So, whether they get that fixed with this iteration, I don't know. I really hope they can bring the fidelity into VR that we have with the landscape to the clouds.
Yeah, so. Definitely. See, when they brought in the new clouds, I think I mentioned this at the time, the big thing for me actually wasn't the clouds. The clouds looked better, even in VR, they looked better than what we had before. Didn't look great, but they looked better. But it was the lighting. Like, the moment you have realistic clouds and you shadow the terrain, it immediately starts to look like the real world, way more than it ever has in the past.
Agreed. Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing that hit me, because I was flying around. I think I was in the Gulf map. I was over Dubai in the Harrier, and I banked the aircraft over, and I looked down at the towers in the city, and I saw the way that the cloud was casting shadow in different parts of the landscape, and there's light bits of the desert and darker bits of the desert, and I was like, whoa, that really, really looks like what I see when I fly, for real.
Yeah, and it's got gameplay implications as well, because that that variation on the ground with shadows. I mean, when you have like a 4 5/8 cover, it can get quite confusing.
Yes,
you can lose an entire airfield in that and be like, actually, where the hell am I? Simply because of that patchwork of light. I mean, when you're just scattered, it's not so bad because you have like predominant lighting. But when you get to that sort of 50-60% cover, you know, it starts to get like that picture can get, you got to have your wits about you, you know, as the landscape changes under the clouds with the lighting. So, you know, it has, you know, it does have a real world implication. So it's good to see that this is happening.
And in the VAF missions, you know, I found a lot, you know, the new clouds are way more problematic in a realistic way for weapons delivery when you're using targeting pods. So I found myself having to approach target areas from particular directions just in order that I can see the target through my targeting pod. And of course, now if it's going to be dynamic, this adds a whole other dimension, which is, again, realistic, is that you know, you might need to delay your attack because you can't see the target. If flying under the cloud is not an option, and in many cases it will not be an option because somebody will shoot you. You know, you got to stay high, but you also got to kind of use the gaps in the cloud where you can to deliver your weapons, unless you have static targets and you already have the coordinates. So this is really, really cool and also realistic. I like.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little tease here. You know, there's no other real details on how the system works.
Yes.
Or, you know,
because the only thing they say is looks like the weather is turning soon.
Yeah. I mean, we've got like this is. I don't think this is you know, anything that we're going to see. Probably for a few. I think we're going to see this in a few patches. You know. Like I don't think this is just around the corner, but it's good to see this progress, and we've visited this topic a few times over the last couple of months as we sort of get towards the end of the year about, you know, what's the next big thing. You know, we're going to see the, you know, DCS 2022 video that they, you know, they started doing these annual updates, and I still think this you know, kind of helps with my view is that, like, I don't think ED are going to be working on modules much for the next year, and that it's all going to be these sort of updates to these core features of the game and things that we've been missing for a long time. And I think, you know, this kind of stuff just sort of backs that point up. And
Stieglitz is pointing out that you've been making clouds.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just a crappy disposable. My proper vape kit is knackered, so I need to get some new bits for it.
A quick clarification here, by the way. I've been saying dynamic weather. Actually, 9line clarifies further down that it's just moving clouds for now. So the issue with the current cloud system just now is that, of course, you have clouds and you've defined your wind, but the wind has no effect on the clouds, and they just stick where they are.
Right. I think that answers my question. That the animation just happened to break at the hill. Yeah, I don't think this is sort of air mass interacting with the ground and then sort of changing how the clouds work. You know, I mean, the you know, I think it'll be a while before we see a weather system like MSFS in DCS. Because that's what I wondered if we were heading towards, was this sort of air mass interaction thing.
They have it on their plan to do completely dynamic weather, because we had dynamic weather before, but with the introduction of the new clouds, we lost it again. They had to make it more static.
It was a bit bum pipe, though.
Yeah, I actually never used it.
It was rubbish.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I know that, you know, they had, you know, cyclones and anticyclones, and it did a kind of, you know, they moved over time and the wind changed direction.
It wasn't very granular, and yeah, it was just bad. Nobody ever used it.
Oh well, yeah, I never used it because I didn't like the idea. Well, until you have Moose and Atis and things like that, I didn't like the fact that I would take off from an airport and then when I'd come back, I wouldn't know what runway I'm using because the wind has changed direction. So, you know, until you have that interaction, it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Something else that came out this week, which I've been very, very excited about, was Core Sound Mod was released by Echo 19. Once again, let's play the video that has lots of cool sounds, but have it muted because I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Of course, I take it there's music on this, is there?
Actually, this time they didn't include music because
You should be able to play. You should be able to sort of play it. Then I think it's the music that'll flag it. But
you're gonna get me in trouble now. Let's try.
If I get you a copyright strike, I'm really sorry.
Yeah. So you're now. Can anybody actually hear that? I don't know how my audio is set up. Yeah, you guys should be able to hear the video actually. Chuck probably cannot, but the stream can. The stream is hearing the video. It's pretty good. It's also quite loud. I'll turn it down a little bit so that you can actually still hear me and Chuck. There we go. So the main thing, of course, being the environmental and exterior sounds are very, very nice. I think.
Yeah, and it's bringing in things like that sort of crackle that you get. The little sort of microsonic booms that happen from the gas getting chucked out the back of the engine, all that kind of stuff. It's just
I was most interested in the fact that for this core version, the core version is really focused on environmental sounds and exterior sounds. Well, yeah, the A10 sounds nice. But they also mentioned that they'd added a bunch of sounds for the Harrier along with a lot of others. Because something that I've mentioned to Razbam on their Discord is that I think the sound environment still needs a lot of work for the Harrier. And they did come back in fairness and say, yes, we accept that. It is kind of a first pass and we are going to revisit the Harrier and redo some of the sounds.
The buzzsaw being the most... There's and the thing is, it's really sad. Back in the old world, when we could still take commercial flights without the fear of catching death, there was a particular set of engines on the A320, and I don't know if it was the GEs, but when they ramped up to takeoff power. Yes. You got the same buzzsaw sound out of them that you got in the Harrier.
They sound almost exactly the same as the Harrier, which is strange. I guess there must be a similar design to the blades or something.
Must be, yeah. It must be something to do with the angle incidence of the blade and how it interacts. Yeah.
But yeah, I gotta say, this is really, really good. This core sound mod seems really, really good. I've not installed it yet, so I need to give it a go and see what it's like. And especially, unfortunately, in this trailer, they don't include any of the Harrier sounds, so I don't know what it does to the Harrier yet, but I'm going to find out. Because, yeah, the point I made to Razbam was I'd love to hear the buzzsaw. I'd also really love to hear the environmental system, because it's actually basically silent in the Razbam Harrier. Yeah. He almost crashed there. We really need the environmental sounds and the buzzsaw.
Yeah, and like in a lot of aircraft, you're sometimes missing sort of aspects of the avionics sound.
Yes.
Like there's like in a lot of aircraft, with the 400 hertz system, you can hear that.
Yeah. Spinning gyros. You want to hear spinning gyros if your aircraft has them.
We get that, but like what a lot of these aircraft miss out is the whine of the 400 hertz system, and I get maybe why they don't put it in, because it's annoying as shit.
Yes. A new world of sound. Core audio production by Echo 19 is now available. I'm trying to do my trailer voice.
In a world,
there's a man and a girl who was pushed too far, and all that.
And then...
Oh, dear.
Rob Schneider is derp.
Are we going into Rick and Morty multi-dimensional TV now?
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Cool. But,
Two brothers.
That's a classic one. Yeah. Oh no. So yes, this looks really good. Echo 19 core sound mod. Try it out. Let me know what you think, chat, because I've not even tried it yet, but I will. I will try it.
Yeah, I mean the bass sound environment in DCS has got so much better. But
yeah, From time to time, they add stuff and don't even tell us, because it wasn't that long ago that they added a bunch of environmental sounds. So you hear now things like birds tweeting and stuff like that. And that was never even mentioned in the changelog, and it just turned up one day.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're parked in particular locations and you have your canopy open, you hear, stuff, animals and things, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I mentioned it last week. The other really cool one was the explosions. They've updated the explosions now.
Oh yes, new explosion sounds. Yeah, that you found. Yeah.
Nice rumble.
Yeah, no, it's a nice mod. Gonna flesh things out a bit.
Yes, I think so. It's very, very good. So, that's all the news that we have for you all this week. However, as always, it's time to pimp out the VAF.
Yes!
And actually, there has been some news with the VAF recently. We've just recently formed 2 more squadrons. I think I mentioned one of them last week. But we now have F-14s and A-10s in the VAF. So we have 2 squadron who fly F-16s. We have 3 squadron who fly Harriers. We have 25 squadron who fly A-10s. And we have... Oh no, what's the F-14 squadron? Is it 124?
Yes,
it's 124th.
124th. Yep.
Yeah. So we now have 4 active squadrons. We do still plan at some point as well.
No, 142. 142. Because it's the Ghost Riders.
It's the Ghost Riders, exactly.
Yeah.
Named after the flight lead, who himself is called Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider, yeah.
So, and we do still plan to start an F-18 squadron at some point. We're just still looking for a flight lead for that squadron. So, things are getting really, really busy. And our Thursday night flights are, we have more and more pilots turning up to every single one. It's kind of going crazy now.
Yeah, because it's got it's like with the number of squadrons and pilots flying, we're now actually not just because of, it'll be a nice feature to have human GCI and ATC. It's like, actually, we need it to coordinate the packages because it's got so big. So that is something that we're spinning up in a little while. I think, or like, what's the situation with that?
I'm already talking to people. So what we need to do is we need to find the people to man those mission commander, GCI, AWACS positions. And I'm going to do some test flights where we just try it out and see how it works. So people know we use SRS for communication, as many squadrons do. It's a very, very nice piece of software. But we also use LOT ATC because that gives us simulated radar scopes, and that allows people like GCI and AWACS and so on to have something to look at. They don't need to be in sim to figure out what's going on and to coordinate people. So we're using those 2 pieces of software. We already have people who are interested in operating radio positions, so not actually sitting in a cockpit, but we're always looking for more. So if there are people out there who are like, ooh, it'd be kind of fun to be part of a squadron, but I don't fly, or I don't care to fly, or I can't fly for whatever reason, this is a way of taking part and interacting with us. So feel free to join.
And it's going to be like a nice thing from a realism point of view for the pilots.
Yes.
So if you are somebody who is thinking about coming and flying with us, when we sort of bring things on like GCI and human ATC, that's going to just make a more realistic environment for yourself. That said, if you don't feel that you have the time or the ability to train to a level of joining one of the numbered squadrons, we are still more than welcome for you to come and join and hang out with us and fly as a freelancer or just pass the time. There's a great bunch of very friendly people who love nothing more than chatting about planes and talking nonsense. So don't feel that you have to come and join a numbered squadron. You can just come for the crack.
Absolutely. And the link to the Discord is in the chat right now. Thank you, Storm Kimbari. And you'll also find it in the show notes below this video. All are welcome. And as Chuck said, it's a kind of opt-in milsim approach that we have. So if you want to be a freelancer, join us whenever you want, fly whenever you want, fly whatever you want. You can do that. If you want to join a numbered squadron, then you can actually do a training program, achieve qualifications, and be super duper pilots like me and Chuck.
Yes, I feel I have the time and the ability and the aerodynamic haircut as well, says Stieglitz. dude, you're going to fit in just fine.
Yes. Actually, it was Scott Manley himself who on many occasions mentioned that his haircut was efficient and aerodynamic. So, yes. Cool.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all we have for this week. I, as always, have been Deepak. I post a new video tutorial every week as a premiere. Hopefully you just watched my latest JF17 one. I've got a couple more videos coming along in the JF17, and then I think most likely I'm going to dip into the Hornet, because the Hornet's pretty much complete now, so stay tuned for that. And after my video premiere on a Saturday at 7:30 p.m. CET, we always have the DCS news, which is this thing what you is watching now, don't you know? So tune in on Saturdays for that as well. Nice live stream to keep you all up to date with what's wondrous in the world of DCS. So that's all that we have for this week, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and comment. Fly safe, and we'll see you all next time. Ta-ta.